Hey there, viewers. It's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review. And today's review is going to be on Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Road Hauler. Now, ever since I first got Grapple, I've been hoping that they would make a Road Hauler someday. I mean, of course it makes sense. First there was Grapple, then they retooled him into Inferno for Kingdom. Then Select gave us Artfire, so it would make sense that they would give us Hauler eventually. So when leaks started spreading that there was going to be a Velocitron line for Legacy and Hauler was going to be one of the characters, I was actually quite excited. And when, the figure was starting to be shown via leaks when the box was first shown, I mean, I was quite excited as well, although there was one bit that I kind of was skeptical about, which we'll get to in the robot mode. But well, first of all, let's take a quick look at the packaging. And for the Velocitron collection, I'm just going to call it that because I don't want to say the whole thing, but for the Velocitron collection, well, they're kind of homaging the G1 boxes. So we've got this nostalgic style shape. The figures are actually packaged in vehicle mode. We've got this flap. Of course, we've got the artwork of the character right there. The character's vehicle mode up there. The vehicle mode again. This side, we've just got some ancient Autobot lettering, which is quite well, it's used a lot in the War for Cybertron trilogy and Legacy. The side, we've got another picture of Hauler. The back, we've just got them in both modes. Fortunately, the Velocitron guys don't seem to have any QR codes, which is kind of unfortunate. But, well, let's have a quick sneak peek on the one thing I was skeptical about. You see that face? We'll get to that later on. That's pretty much it for the box. And well, onto the figure. Now, of course, this is essentially Earthrise Grapple, just in a different color scheme, as was Hauler, because, well, quick backstory. Hauler is essentially a Constructicon, but, well, he didn't actually join the Decepticons. And essentially, when the Constructicons were turned evil by that Robo Smasher thing, essentially Hauler decided to just join the Autobots. Or at least that's what I'm assuming. Essentially, he's an ex-Constructicon. Basically, a bunch of continuity errors. That were turned into a character. If you remember that one scene where there was a crane in the first episode and Cliffjumper was calling for a character named Hauler, exactly. Yeah, a lot of continuity error created characters. Yeah, this guy, Red Wing, etc. But yeah, let's just move on to the actual figure. So this is based on the e-hobby version of Hauler, where he's a green-colored grapple. And I quite like this. If anything, I kind of like this more than Grapple, controversially enough. Although that might just be my bias, because they did fix an issue with that Grapple had, which we'll get to in the transformation. While taking a look at the vehicle mode. Of course, he has all the details that Grapple had. So he's got the little warning stripes there. Of course, he still has all the ports. This back bit is hollow, but that was the same on Grapple. The underneath, not really much to say. The crane arm, of course, is articulated, and it's on a tight ratchet, so it can move up. And of course can move side to side. The hook can move in. And if you want to, you can also push it in the crane arm. So if you want to have that look going on. So yeah, that's quite cool. Now for accessories, they're pretty much the same as grapples. So if we just move that in, of course we have the little claw weapon. Of course this can plug in. So now Holland can just pick up some girders if you want. You have to supply your own girders though. And of course there's a port there for a ramp, if you want to plug one in. And if you don't want that on the crane, this can just plug into the side, as shown on the box. I mean, I think it looks a bit silly, but that is an option. Of course you have this little, I mean, it could be like a little lance, but this is meant to be the little welding torch that Grapple hands is normally replaced by. Ooh. And of course, this just plug into here. And of course, we have the gun, which you can also just plug into the side here. So there you have your weapon storage. And for blast effect compatibility, we can actually get this off. Of course, this can take a blast effect, but that's more for the robot mode. And the gun, of course, can also take a blast effect. Now just plugging these back into the holder. As I lose them. There we go. Now for the comparison. Well, I've got the plug upside down, but well. Here he is with the original use of the mold. Here he is with Grapple. So you can see he's pretty much just a palette swap. Just essentially all the orange has been replaced with green. I mean, there are some other differences. The hazard stripes are more visible. The stabilizers are kind of a different color. And in robot mode, there are some more differences, like a new head, but we'll get there in robot mode. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode. Now moving on to the transformation. Now, to transform this guy, it's essentially the same as Grapples, and well, pretty much Inferno as well. So if you know how those guys transform, you know how this guy transforms. So to start, we're just going to push in the hook, push in the crane arm. Come here, unpeg this section, move that. Come here, unpeg this, and on Grapple, this was the most dangerous bit because these pegs could break off, but thankfully, on Hola, well, he's actually using Inferno's version of the peg, so they're much steadier and will not break off. So that is definitely an improvement. But you just get the siege armature out of the way. So you can transform the feet. Rotate the arms. out. Swivel these around. Flip the hands out, or hands, depending on how you want to display him. We'll just get both hands out for now. Try and fold this around. I find this to be way more tight than it is on Grapple. Just trying to get that pegged in, so this can tap into here. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can either, well, considering this doesn't untap, you can either just have it so it goes around like this, or what I prefer to do, swivel the crane arm around and then move that down. I actually consider that to be a bit easier. Oh, and don't forget to actually flip around the head first before you tap it in. And now, because I'm on camera, it's not even going to plug in. There we go. And here we have Hauler, or Road Hauler, in his robot mode. And yeah, it's pretty much the Grapple transformation, but seeing how the peg issue from the Earthrise model has been fixed, I definitely prefer this transformation, this mold's transformation, not mold, but this particular version of transformation way more enjoyable than Grapple's, because it feels way sturdier to transform. We'll do a comparison later on, but for now, looking at the actual figure, well, once again, it's essentially Grapple in green. Of course, he has the crane arm on the back. But hey, I'm used to that. Taking a look at the head, this is the bit I was talking about earlier. Let's just say he seems to have Skywarp face, if you will. If you remember Earthrise Skywarp, yeah. In fact, Dodge has this issue as well, from what I remember. I don't know what's with some figures and screaming, but this has become a lot more common recently. Who knows? Maybe he's scared on how much he's gonna cost in 10 years, but I don't know. But that definitely is my main gripe with the figure, that screaming face. And it's also the main gripe of a lot of people as well. Yeah. When this figure was first shown, a lot of people didn't like the screaming face, and for good reason. It's kind of distracting. I mean, I don't think Hauler's personality was shown that much, but I don't think he was shown to be a coward. At least with Skywarp, you can kind of make out the screaming face to be a reference to animated Skywarp, but with this, it's not really like any reference to anything. He's just screaming for the sake of screaming. But well, let's just give him his accessories. And of course, you can't do this in a couple of different ways. So of course, you have the claw hands. So you can just flip this in and just give him a huge vending machine claw or something, like a huge arcade claw. You could go all Target Master Japan and plug the gun directly into here if you want, although it's a loose fit. Of course, you just plug the little nozzle into here. Just plug the gun into here, and with this, well, essentially you can just plug this into here. Kind of sticks out, but oh well. It's not really a better place to put this. And of course, you can take blast effects, as stated earlier. So he can shoot at Decepticons, maybe shoot at the Constructicons if he really wants to. Seeing how this is a recolor of Grapple, he has ports on the actual body, so he can get shot at. I mean, this is something that they kind of phased out, like the ports on the actual figures. I don't really see that often nowadays. I mean, it was on a couple of Kingdom figures like Cyclonus, but after a while, it just sort of vanished. So yeah, a bit weird. And of course, seeing how the pegs are pretty much not going to break off into the feet, I can actually fully show off the laser feet this time. So yeah, and of course, for comparison, here he is with Grapple. So you can show off all the different loadouts you can do. So you can give Hola the standard gun, and give Grapple the weird claw, and the shoulder cannon if you really want to. Because hey, the limit is just your imagination. And we can actually see that Hola has actually got a couple more paint additions. Because with Grapple, his shoulders and legs were not painted here. But with Hola, they actually are. I think this is also the case of Artfire. So yeah. Maybe just like the budget for the Velocitron line. I don't know. But that kind of reminds me of something. Seeing how this guy transforms into a crane, why would he be part of the Velocitron line? Surely he's not going to be winning any races. Well, here's my reasoning. Seeing how it's a race, you know, there's obviously going to be cars like crashing. So there's going to have to be someone who's going to have to clear up the mess. So my reasoning, Hola is in the Velocitron line because he's the one who helps like clear up any crashes. It's like how Cosmos is in the line because he's the one who like starts the races. Because he does have the little flag. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Hola is in the Velocitron line because he helps clear up any crashes. So if anything, Hola and Cosmos both play the role of Lakitu. Small Mario Kart reference there. But yeah, small tangent aside, we can actually take a quick look at the peg comparison. Well, the claw and the gun won't get in the way. But, so yeah, you can see Grapple. His pegs are pretty much just sheared off due to the transformation. Whereas with Hola, I nearly forgot his name there. Hola pretty much uses the same pegs that Inferno uses. And this is pretty much making me want a reissue of Grapple with the retooled pegs. I know that's probably not going to happen, but seeing how he's pretty much the only version of the mold with the fragile pegs, he's the odd one out there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure a re-release of him with the retool pegs is not going to happen. Oh well. Well, let's move on to the articulation. Let's get his second hand out for this. So, of course, it's the same as Grapple, so his head can look side to side. Can't really look up, unfortunately. His arms can, of course, move. Of course, he can T-pose. He's got elbows, bicep rotation. Hands don't rotate, but they can go in. Though it's a bit tight on this figure. There is a waist rotation. I guess if you play with like the transformation joints, I guess not, but I was going to suggest that maybe there's like an arcing back or an ab crunch. Yeah, I was going to suggest that there's like an arcing back, but no, you have to untap the head, so never mind. But he can kick forward, he can kick back, do the splits. Of course, he's got a good ankle pivot. Got a swivel there. Good knee. So yeah, quite poseable. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Hola, or Road Hola, if you will. Complaints? Well, the screaming head is definitely quite distracting, but other than that, I really like this mold. If anything, the only one I don't really like is Grapple because of the fragile peg issue. I mean, if they just used the ones that Inferno and now Roadhole and Artfire have, then he would be just as good. If not a bit bland with the paints, but seriously, this is a really nice figure. So, do I recommend him? Well, he might be a bit less desirable than the other Velocitron guys so far, especially seeing how two of them are entirely new molds, but I still definitely recommend him. He's a really good-looking figure, and I definitely like him more than Grapple. I mean, sure, he's got the screaming face, but this is pretty much the only version of the crane, the crane truck mold that has the actual good pegs instead of the ones that Grapple had. So yeah, I definitely recommend this figure if you can find them. So this has been my review on Legacy Velocitron Collection Road Hauler, and this is Charlie Young signing off.